Okay, so you should have gotten a notice that we're recording here.
Hmm.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Brother Augustine channel. I know that I swore off of videos and interviews, but this is a really important one I think that we're doing today. My guest is Deacon Christopher Purdef, who told me that is an acceptable pronunciation of his name. I also want to mention that unbeknownst to them, this stream is going to be sponsored by the Woolshire, an Orthodox family that makes amazing organic wool pillows, which you may or may not. Oh, yeah, there's one of them. If you're looking for healthy pillows that will not poison you while you sleep, check out the Woolshire and I will tag them on Twitter.
That's a
That
nice
being
t-shirt.
said, yeah, it is a nice shirt, isn't it? They sent
That's
me
a really
this.
nice t-shirt.
They sent me
I'll
this
look
with
it
a
up.
bunch of other cool stuff. I helped them out with a Kickstarter project. So, and my wife dyed hers, and it's actually a very cool black now as well, because she got a version of the shirt too.
Outstanding.
Um, well, thank you, Deacon Christopher, for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Of course. The reason that I invited you is because you have a ministry called Share the Faith.
Hmm.
And when I discovered it, I thought, first of all, it kind of makes me sad we even need something like this, but the reality is there is a need for it.
Hmm.
So would you mind just sharing with the audience a little bit about what Share the Faith is?
Absolutely. Share the Faith Ministries started, I'd say, about 10 years ago. It was sort of the brainchild of Father Evangelos Peps, who is a priest in the Orthodox Church in America. And about 3 years ago, I was brought on to help kind of move forward with raising funds, getting the word out with regards to what we're trying to do. Essentially, Share the Faith Ministries is the only nonprofit of its kind in the United States that helps support mission priests. And when I say support, I mean financially. Um, a lot of people don't understand or don't know that over 50% of our mission priests in the United States have to have or have to hold secular jobs for a myriad of reasons. A lot of the times, the missions in their infancy, they're unable to tithe consistently or a lot in order to support a priest and his family. Some of the times, unfortunately, being that we're in the United States and Orthodoxy is still fairly new, there's maybe a Western kind of Reform Protestant understanding of tithing, where it's kind of an all or nothing. But when we go into the Orthodox Church, the understanding of tithing maybe is not translated as well. So you don't see, in some instances, you don't see a lot of parishioners tithing. In some instances, depending on the jurisdictions, their methods to maintaining a parish may not be through tithing, and may be through a festival, um, and other means. Kind of not to stereotype, that tends to be a little bit more of our ethnic parishes and ethnic missions, although I do see that coming around. Um, Regardless of the reasons, what we do is try to kind of step in those instances, and support these missions and support these priests who are having a hard time because of their secular jobs. Sometimes they still can't put food on the table, because we all know kind of the state of the economy right now. It's difficult for especially the younger priests. Um, we provide them with monthly stipends, depending upon their need, either to help them pay, personal utilities, to buy groceries. Sometimes that money, depends on, we have one particular mission that's under ROCOR. He's a priest monk, Father Aidan Keller. He doesn't require a lot because he's by himself. The money, the stipends that we give him, go to, kind of restoration of the facility and the place that he's using for his mission. It goes directly to his mission, and we're not against that. If we're dealing with a zealous priest, who understands, and every priest that we do have, has to go through sort of a check a checklist and, has to be vetted. We are, there's an application process the priest has to go through. He speaks with me personally first and then goes through our board. And if we believe that the priest is someone who is sincere in his faith, zealous for his faith, working to grow, with the Holy Spirit, grow that mission into a parish, we'll bring him on. I mean, up to this point, we haven't found one. We haven't found a priest who's applied who hasn't met the benchmarks to be brought on. Right now we are serving 11 recipient priests. There's another one coming in. While we are a pan-Orthodox nonprofit, I'd say the vast majority of our priests right now for the Russian Orthodox Church from abroad. Again, there's reasons for all of these, but the reasons aren't, we don't want to utilize the reasons as a means to stop working, to stop growing our mission, and to help anyone that needs, any sort of support, indirectly or directly. We believe that our nonprofit is evangelical. We are helping to spread orthodoxy to every corner of the United States, by supporting these priests, and we're open to supporting anyone, any Orthodox jurisdiction that is canonically approved and part of the inner communion of our Orthodox Church. And we're open to ideas as well. We're open to expanding. So,
okay.
I think that should answer. If you have any specific questions to that, I'm willing to spend a little bit of time. I know that it's a kind of a fairly new concept.
Oh, I have a lot of questions because you shared a lot of information. So I've been Orthodox a little more than 7 years, but I'm not clergy. I don't see much of the behind the scenes stuff of how the hierarchies and jurisdictions work. So my first question, I don't really know how most mission parishes are started, because as you were talking, I was thinking, okay, it's probably either they found an area with no orthodoxy and they wanted to go spread the gospel there, or one parish got too big and they had to start a separate one as like a runoff, or there's a bunch of people, like maybe a Protestant parish or a Roman Catholic parish converts, they want to be Orthodox, there's no priest. I don't really know much about it. How do you see most of these mission parishes getting started in the first place?
The answer to that question is yes to all of the above. I mean, I think I've heard of every single one. Every single one of those that you've mentioned has been relevant. Although we have not had a parish priest or a mission priest where at least not that I'm aware of, I could be wrong, and and we can definitely correct that, where an entire parish just converted to Orthodoxy. And then became a mission, and we've supported them. We've had some missions that transferred from Western Rite to Eastern Rite, but not that I'm aware of. Usually the answer to that question is where there's a need. Everything we do is where there is a need. So if there's a need for a mission, in the smallest town of the United States, kind of the largest court, I think we support a parish in Detroit, downtown Detroit. I think it's Saints Peter and Paul. I apologize for my memory as I get older, recollection. I don't have the information in front of me, but you'll get the idea. I mean, it's a fairly established building. It's an older parish that has now developed into a mission, for whatever reason. I think somewhere down the line, a new parish or a new mission developed into there. The old parish died out, as they do sometimes from the old world, and then we have a member of that original church family becoming clergy and starting a mission. So there's a vast array of reasons and how, but it's mainly we have a group of individuals that need to start a mission or want to start a mission. There's a yearning for it. Either they spin off from another parish and there's an area. Each jurisdiction looks at kind of how I'm part of the Antiochian Archdiocese, and there's kind of set parameters where you can't have another parish within, maybe 5 square miles of another parish. They try to not to kind of intermingle within the jurisdictions or try to build a mission within, another area, unless that parish is budding, bursting at the seams, which a lot of our bigger parishes are today, and then they'll have to split off and, create another mission.
Okay.
But yeah, take your pick. Take your pick. I mean, it's very fascinating, and it's also with the clergy shortage that's coming up, or that's actually hitting us. It's actually kind of scary as well.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. Where do they find the priests typically for a mission parish?
I think traditionally it's been seminaries. I think a lot of our hierarchs still want to keep the seminary ethos. But we do see, I would say the vast majority of all our parishes or all our jurisdictions now sort of all have some form of a correspondence type study course. I know the Antiochians do for sure. I know the Serbs do for sure. I know Rokor does. I'm not sure about the OCA, but I think the vast majority of our jurisdictions, maybe even the Greeks, if not a separate one, through their seminaries, they have sort of a form of kind of online correspondence where it would be a little bit easier on a potential candidate, where they wouldn't have to travel for long periods of time away from their homes. They can travel periodically for a couple of weeks, if there is a residency portion to it, which I believe most of them do, and then they can study from kind of the comforts of their homes.
Gotcha. And sorry.
I would add that I believe, at least this is just my opinion, I mean, it's a calling. It's a calling. I would say it's not solely an ambition, an endeavor of ambition, although there's a level of ambition involved in it. I do believe in my heart of hearts that there are a lot more young men who are being called to the priesthood to become clergy. In some respects, it might just becoming a deacon. But for various reasons, they're not pursuing it, be it in that kind of the breakup of the understanding of marriage, kind of the struggle within the institution of marriage, not being able to find a wife. I know some may be called to the priesthood, but they may not be called to become monastics. So I think there's a lot of there's a lot of reasons why they might not be pursuing it. It may be financial. If one of them is financial, we want to be sort of that cog where we can say, you don't have to worry, at least in short notice, in short order, that you could receive some sort of financial support early on. If you start a mission, we can provide you some kind of relief there. And that's where we kind of want to fit into that element of helping the clergy shortage.
Gotcha. A couple more structural questions, and then kind of more practical stuff. So you mentioned a 5 square mile rule, you said, within jurisdictions. So for example, let's say there's a Rokor church, and then a bunch of Greeks want to start a Greek mission parish 3 miles away. And you can plead the fifth if you don't want to get anyone in trouble here, because I really don't know how this works. Would those people typically be told, yes, start a Greek mission, or would they be told there's a Russian church? I guess this would be a bad example in contemporary times. Let's call it a Serbian and a Greek church, just to keep it simpler. Would they be told, go to the Serbian church 3 miles away, or would there be effort and resources put into starting a Greek mission church 3 miles from the Serbian church?
I mean, I think there's a lot of, again, this is just my opinion and thoughts. I don't think there are hard, fast rules where it's like, okay, there's this is half a mile from the 5 mile square radius or from the 3 mile square radius. You can't do it. That's just, I mean, that's the rule. You can't do it. I don't think they would look at it that way. I mean, there would have to be some sort of conversation. You know, if the existing parish there is full and there's only one priest there, and they're either thinking we're going to have to start a mission ourselves eventually, or we're going to have to get another priest, or we're going to have to expand the building, you know, whatever it may be, they might in fact say, okay, it might be a good idea for, you know, the Greeks to start a parish, even if it's like 2 miles down the road. I mean, I know way back in the day, when I was a kid, they didn't really, there was parishes down the street from each other. They didn't really look at, you know, and again, myriad of reasons for that as well. I think as long as there's a conversation, I think as long as there's, you know, some humility and respect, if hierarchs approach each other and talk, you know, the possibilities are endless. But if there's none of that, and then you just start a mission without having that conversation, or, you know, researching, you know, what, I mean, in reality, what good would it do for you to start a mission so close to another existing parish, if it's only just to start a mission for a mission's sake and not to spread the word of Christ, if you know that it's not going to do you any good, or it's going to be sort of kind of defeatist in that endeavor. I hope that answers the question. If not, you can restate it or ask it again. Or
No, that does, and I appreciate it. What help, if any, is given from an archdiocese when a bishop blesses the opening of a mission parish? Or is there none, and it's 100% dependent on the laity of that mission parish tithing in whatever capacity and donations like what you guys are doing?
I believe it depends on the jurisdiction. I mean, I can say with some comfort that the Russian Orthodox, and this is not a shot at them, but I can say with some comfort that maybe the Russian Orthodox abroad doesn't have the financial means, like as a diocese or a patriarchate, or to help. I do know maybe in that case, you know, existing parishes. I know, like, existing parishes that are well established will help give. I know that's the case in the Antiochians. The Antiochians do have a fund set up for struggling mission priests that they do help on their own. I know that exists as far as, you know, help to start up a mission. You know, where I am right now in St. Ignatius and Mesa, you know, we're kind of on the cusp of, we're building a bigger building, obviously, but then the next question is, because we're growing at such a high rate, the next question is, where can we start a mission? That might be 2, 3, 4 years down the line. But what normally happens is, especially if there's a mission spin-off from a sister church or a mother church, that mother church sort of takes that mission under her wing, and provides, you know, financial support, you know, liturgical goods, to the best of that parish's abilities, financial abilities, you know. And there should be, and there has to be, a little bit of pain for every mission. The idea isn't to create like this huge umbrella organization, or for the archdiocese to be that type of umbrella organization where they just rain down with money, and that mission doesn't feel any sort of growing pains or doesn't have any sort of struggle. We all have to struggle. There all has to be some sort of struggle. That's how you grow, and you kind of become a tight-knit community. So we just don't want our priests going hungry. You know, there still has to be some struggle there. I mean, and even parishioners, I mean, that's the whole point of tithing. You know, to loose yourself of, you know, loose yourself of, things that you might be attached to, and live within your means, or even a little bit less within your means, to help spread the the faith of Christ. I mean, kind of goes into this Sunday's gospel reading about the wealthy young man who came to Christ and said, good teacher. Obviously, first and foremost, he didn't recognize who stood before him. He called him good teacher. We first have to recognize Christ if we're going to start a mission. That's the main, if we're starting a mission, we have to know who Christ is. And we want to seek a relationship with Christ. In order to do that, we have to follow Christ's commandments. Mostly, we have to give up the things that we're attached to, or at least detach from them. We don't have to become destitute necessarily, but we have to detach from certain things. That zeal has to be that strong when we're starting a mission, in order for the Holy Spirit to take it and to grow. That's where we have to be internally. Whether we do that all the time or not, only God can judge that. There are enough wealthy individuals where they can, just make it easy and build a parish from scratch, make it an Elon Musk type structure, and there's everything there, but there may not be a relationship with Christ there. But if you have that struggle, chances are you'll have that relationship with Christ, and that'll be a parish that I would say, Michael, go visit that parish, because you will know Christ is there in our midst. So
Very cool. Is mission parish, is that a formal title, and at some point it becomes a regular parish, or is that just the informal name for like a startup parish?
Yeah, I sometimes am lazy with my rhetoric, and I'll just say, I'll loosely use terminology. It's a mission, and then it's a parish. There's each jurisdiction has they have their parameters, as to when they say, okay, now you're a parish. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to name them, but I would say mostly when that particular mission is able to sustain itself, kind of from a business aspect.
Gotcha.
They're able to pay the priest a living wage. Again, it doesn't have to be CEO salary, but a living wage where the priest can, take care of himself and his family. Most of the time, we'll find, the matushkas, presbyteras, and the kurias, they have a job. And I think, to be honest, most of the ladies these days, they want to have a job regardless, maybe not all of them, but, they like to work, when their kids get older, and that way there's some relief on the priest. We're not here to judge whether that's the right way or not the right way, but it just happens. Yeah, it's usually when that mission becomes self-sustainable, can pay their bills, can keep the electricity on, and then they're kind of moved out of that mission status.
Okay. Do you, or have you seen a lot of mission parishes that are not able to continue because of financial problems and inability for the priest to be able to do it? Or do most of them make it?
I have not. And this is outside of Share the Faith. I've been a deacon for over 13 years, close to 14 years. Once in a while, I'll hear of a story where a mission has, quote unquote, failed or had to discontinue, but it's kind of like just a story. I don't know anything of it. I don't know the facts of it. It could be a lot of different reasons as to why that occurred. But since I've started working for Share the Faith, The missions that we've supported, that has not occurred. I have not heard of one of the missions that we've supported there. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the period. I mean, Orthodoxy is, in my mind, and I think statistically it's growing. I mean, at least there are a lot of converts coming in to kind of counter effect of a lot of the old world Orthodox who've kind of fallen or stopped going. So maybe numerically the church isn't as growing because of that back end of the fallout of the Orthodox. But I think if eventually the converts that are coming in is going to supersede that, and we're going to see a lot more of growth. I think there's just such a need for missions now. There are so many people coming in, especially since COVID, coming in to the Orthodox Church that would be a one-off of all one-offs to see a mission fail, at least in this period right now. I would be very surprised to see a mission fail at this point.
Well, thank God that they're doing well. A couple more questions for you, because it looks like the free version of Zoom gives me about 40 minutes per meeting length.
Sure.
So this is going to be more practical for the people that are interested in supporting you and your ministry, or clergy or seminarians who might be interested in reaching out to you. If someone is either a candidate to become a priest for a mission parish, or it's on their mind at all, what would be the next steps for them to take after watching this video or listening to it to get in touch with you and your ministry?
First and foremost, I mean, they would have to do the preliminary things of, getting the blessing from their hierarch, going to seminary, and being assigned. Once they're assigned, they can reach out, or they can just fill out an application on the website. There's a link to the application, but they do have to be a priest already, and already have to be either starting a mission or being assigned to a mission to apply. I mean, in some cases, it could be a deacon. If it's just a deacon who's running that mission, we will definitely look at that application. We would not just throw it to the wayside. We haven't had that example yet, but we would definitely look for it. But yeah, I mean, ordained priest, canonical jurisdiction, assigned mission, or starting a mission, if you feel like you need the support, fill out the application and we will take a look. And conversely, we are dependent virtually 100% on donations. So this is why this podcast is so important. We definitely need to get the word out. We've been working tirelessly to get the word out. Any little bit helps, especially if it's, if there are reoccurring donations, any reoccurring donations, even if it's, $20 a month. If we get 100 of those, that'll help tremendously. That's where we are right now. And obviously we are working closely with our hierarchs to kind of get that rubber stamp of approval. We have some endorsements from bishops, but we really are working to try to get the endorsement of the Assembly of Bishops. Okay. That way people will feel more comfortable giving.
For sure. And is it pretty transparent for donors where the money goes and everything? So they have that knowledge of, this is going to where I'm sending it to?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 80 to 85% of our money goes to our parish priests, the recipient priests. I am the only employed member of the organization, and I'm working full-time on a part-time salary. So we want to get this going, we want to get this going and moving, because we're the only ones that are doing it. And it's very important.
Okay, it is very important. So the links for the donation is on the website, right? Which I'll of course put in the description of this video. Is the application form for priests also on the website, or is that something you got to email you to get or something like that?
It is on the website, so there's a few links on the top where there's scroll downs. You can you can't miss them. You can get all the information, learn about our board, learn about the priests that we are serving. Can't miss the application, can't miss the donation button. And we do post periodically, articles that are timely, things that, are important to read. So.
Okay. And then looks like I've got about 6 minutes left here. What would you like my audience? We've got like 9.6 thousand something people subscribe to this channel. It's not a big number, but there are people that watch. What would you like to share with that audience that we maybe haven't covered so far?
I think most importantly, my diaconate comes first. First and foremost, if you are a young man who feels like you have a calling to the priesthood or even the diaconate, or even spreading the word and spreading and creating missions, I would encourage you to follow through on that. I know it can be frightening. It might not happen instantaneously. I would encourage you to pray about it, reach out to clergy and talk about it. And I would also, I think what's most important for all of us, I want everyone to understand how important the Orthodox Church is in the United States. We're the true faith. We're the true church. Obviously, you have various flavors, not to discount that they also love Christ. We're the only place where you'll hear the truth. You'll get the mysteries, where we can truly draw nearer to Christ. I entreat everyone to draw nearer to Christ, to risk, even taking a risk in losing things, detaching to things, but draw nearer to Christ. That's what I want, everyone to hear, and that's what I want for everyone, especially our younger generations. Be willing to risk. Not having so much faith in yourselves, not so much faith in politics, having faith in the Lord, like Abraham had faith in the Lord. That's what I want. That's the message that I want to get out.
Well, thank you, Deacon Christopher, for your time. Thank you for your ministry. I'll go ahead and upload this to YouTube tonight. I'll send you the link for it, tag you guys on Twitter. And what is your social media page on Twitter or other platforms called, if anyone wants to follow you guys?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I don't even have, I am at the news _3, and it's Share the Faith Ministries at STF AITH 777.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and put all the links for all that in the description. Thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it. And God willing, this video will reach the people that need to watch or listen to it. And you guys can continue to fund the mission priests that need the money and continue to do God's work.
Thank you, Michael. God bless you. And